This is Money Matters, and in this episode, bookshops printing books on demand. Badoo is the world's largest social network, hypnotizing your customers, more car deals with China, and the chocolate truffles to die for. But first,
what's the key to excelling in Angry Birds?
Well, there is a trick. There is a trick to every level.
Is there?
Yeah.
How do you explain the incredible success of your game, Angry Birds?
Well, the game has been successful for many reasons. It's a very approachable game. It's very easy to pick up and play. It has the depth that will allow even seasoned players to play it, and at the same time, it has very nice characters, very nice sounds, and all that. But then also, thanks to the proliferation of the touchscreen devices, also our demographic is widening. So a lot of people who have never played games before are now turning into playing, and the game of choice is Angry Birds.
Can you characterize just what's happening at this time and how important it is for Rovio?
Right, so we are diversifying, and we're building the company into an entertainment media company, and that means that we are going beyond gaming, and we are making a strong push into licensing and merchandising, as well as into entertainment, so TV and film.
How convinced are you that you can replicate this success?
Well, that's also one of the reasons why we are diversifying. Is that every time we do something new, it also gives us the possibility to act in different fields, and it gives us a lot of experience into what works and what doesn't work, and every day we get better at what we do. We are doing something in the entertainment space that will be worth watching.
music lovers rejoice. A long-awaited European import is just getting started in the US. Spotify, a digital music service with more than 10 million registered users and more than 1.6 million paying subscribers in Europe, wades into the crowded waters of the digital music industry stateside, which includes iTunes, iCloud, Pandora, Google Music, and the list goes on. Spotify has a 6 to 12-month window to grab customers, says Aram Zinreich, media professor at Rutgers University, New Jersey.
Spotify doesn't do anything that isn't already being done by somebody else, but the nice thing is that it's a one-stop shop. So it combines subscription services, a la carte MP3 downloads, custom radio, and social media under one roof and within one very easy-to-use interface.
The European upstart offers a drag-and-click option, allowing users to share playlists with friends on Spotify, Facebook, and Twitter. There are 3 services currently offered: an invite-only free service with ads, a $5 a month service, or a premium $10 a month service with a higher quality sound that can be heard on any number of connected devices. Ken Parks, Chief Content Officer, Spotify.
We think key to making this resonate the way it's resonated with millions of people in Europe is a dead simple experience, so that these sort of barriers and these distinctions between ownership and access sort of evaporate. At the end of the day, people just want to listen to the music that they want, discover new music, and we don't want there to be any friction in that process.
Some friction points might include what one industry watcher calls a relatively high subscription price, as well as tough rivals, including Apple and Google. But there's little friction between Spotify and the music industry. After more than 18 months of negotiations, Spotify has signed deals with many of the major music labels, including Universal Music Group, the world's largest music company. Sources say a deal with Warner Music Group is in the works. When Jane Calloway bought a handful of sheep in the late 90s, she hadn't planned on becoming a full-time farmer. There were few women running farms at the time, and she was a bit of a novelty when she went to her first livestock market with a male neighbour.
Sort of caused a bit of a stir because, he was saying, oh, people are wondering why you're here. What have you got to do with it? And I could tell he was slightly embarrassed at having me around. I think it was considered not to be a woman's place to be there.
Jane runs Langley Chase Organic Farm. She now has 120 ewes, her own breeding rams and dozens of lambs. She breeds Manx Lowtons, a rare and ancient breed which is small and easy to handle. Many of her colleagues in this historically man's world still think she's simply the front man, or rather front woman. But the number of women entering the field is steadily growing. Jane King is the editor of Farmers Weekly.
Women are still very, very heavily involved in supporting roles in farms, but also are also at the driving force, at the helm of running a lot of farm businesses now, very much on an equal status with their husbands and their partners.
It's not only the farms where women are taking the lead. Many of the top jobs in farming, including the government's head of Environment, Food and Rural Affairs, are also being done by women.
Women are actually setting the policy across the industry as well, which also creates the right kind of backdrop for people that are actually working on the farms.
Jane's now been running her farm pretty much single-handedly for more than a decade.
I've got wonderful, loyal customers that return, which is the biggest compliment anybody can pay you.
There's now a waiting list for meat from Jane's farm, and her fleeces are turned into rugs and sold across Europe. She's an acclaimed success story and still in a minority, but at least a decade on, she's no longer a novelty. Next, books on demand. Listen closely and you'll hear the sounds every bookseller yearns to hear. Pages turning, an experienced staff, and finally the sound of a pen signing a sales slip. McNally Jackson Books, an independent bookseller in New York City, reports sales are up 10% so far. No easy feat in this day and age of internet sales and rapid-fire e-book growth. Owner Sarah McNally rolled out the Espresso book machine in January, a combative strategy to get books not already on the shelves in the hands of customers. It prints entire paperbacks, bent cover and all.
The challenge for an independent bookseller is always to remain relevant to their community and to figure out every way in which they can be relevant to their community. Ways in which I'm doing it, I've made myself with this print-on-demand machine, which is an extraordinary machine. It can print up a book in the same amount of time my cafe can make you a cappuccino, essentially.
Not every bookseller has had McNally Jackson's success. Borders filed for bankruptcy protection recently. Amazon now sells more Kindle e-books than traditional paperbacks. And there are growing threats from Barnes & Noble, Nook and the iPad, among others. Peter Wallstrom, Associate Director of Morningstar.
There are individuals that, yes, will gravitate towards the digital side of the business, those that teeter and play on both ends, the digital and the print, and then there are those that still like the print. So I don't view that the today's business in the physical bookstore business is dead by any stretch, but it is certainly facing a period of decline over the longer term.
Sarah McNally sells Google eBooks on her website, but her recipe for success has been good recommendations, strong cappuccinos and a dash of innovation. Hollywood superstar Elizabeth Taylor helped bring down the gavel to close New York's spring art buying season. Andy Warhol's Liz No. 5, an iconic portrait of the starlet who recently died, sold for $27 million at auction house Phillips Dupury. Chairman Simon Dupury says total sales were double last year's.
And of course, Andy Warhol being a towering figure of the second part of the 20th century art and being the father of all the contemporary artists working today, it is no question that the presence of strong works by him has greatly contributed to the success of these sales.
But the numbers still came in towards the lower end of pre-auction forecasts. Analysts say this entire art season has painted a mixed canvas. One sale at Sotheby's, the world's largest publicly traded auction house, barely cleared low estimates, and another at rival Christie's didn't even hit pre-sale targets. But Christie's bounced back with more than $301 million in contemporary and post-war art sales, Christie's highest total since May 2008, just before the financial crisis hit the art world. An iconic artist like Andy Warhol can break records. But all three auction houses say it's getting difficult to find enough artwork to meet demand. That's increasingly global.
Collectors from the former Soviet republics, Asian buying has become very, very important. Then the buyers from the Gulf countries, Latin America. So we now have a market where you have collectors from all over the world buying contemporary art from all over the world.
And with demand outstripping supply, art experts expect prices to hit new records in the next 2 to 3 years. The technology magazine Wired has called it the world's largest social network you've probably never heard of. With 117 million members and growing, it is said to be generating substantial interest among some of the world's leading venture capital firms. And its elusive Russian founder says the $2 billion valuation bandied about just a couple of months back is beginning to look a tad conservative. Welcome to Badoo. Founder and CEO Andrei Andreev at the company's headquarters in London.
I believe Badoo has a great future. It can be the biggest meeting place on the planet.
But wait, you say, isn't Facebook the definitive social network that quashes all competitors? Andreev says Badoo is more of a social network than Facebook, and anyway, they're not competition.
Facebook is about track your friends' activity. Badoo is about meeting people nearby on your mobile phone or online.
Badoo does have an app on Facebook, but Andreev says that's of little consequence.
Facebook app doesn't really affect our business, doesn't give anything for our business.
Andreev says Badoo is also not trying to compete with dating sites. Unlike those, Badoo is free to use for its basic service, but it offers premium perks to those willing to subscribe. The Russian bank Finam invested $30 million in Badoo back in 2008. Andreev says the company is profitable and he's not currently looking for new investors. However, the man brought in to oversee the company's international expansion says conversations are ongoing. Chief Operating Officer Bart Swanson.
We've talked to several of the large Tier 1 VCs, and it is something we have contemplated and are contemplating. Those firms have built some of the best internet companies on the planet, and they know how to do it, and it's not a question of just about money.
An IPO is also under consideration, but Swanson says that's unlikely to happen soon. For now, he says, the focus is on improving the product experience for users and expanding into new markets. Next, retail hypnotism. Shops rely on many tricks of the trade to lure customers, but few have tried to hypnotize shoppers until now. Bompas and Par, known for making elaborate jellies, have consulted scientists and are working with London fashion boutique Browns Focus to induce shoppers to buy more. Sam Bompas.
We wanted the Browns Hypnotic Shop to be a total sensory assault, so behind me you can see hypnotic pinwheels that your vision will actually tunnel if you look into them for a couple of minutes. If you go into the shop, we've impregnated all the cleaning products with micro-encapsulated vanilla, which actually increases sales of feminine products like so dresses. Also, we're playing subliminal messaging over the soundtrack, and this is what's going to do the brute force of the work in terms of convincing people that they feel good about themselves and they want to buy.
A note on the door lets shoppers know they're taking part in an experiment. And after a month, Bompas and Par will study the till receipts. Rebecca Gueon from Browns Focus says the Hypnotic Shop project is designed to attract attention during London Fashion Week.
I imagine the staff who are exposed to everything all day, their spending habits might increase significantly. But also it's fun. I hope that people come in to get an experience of the installation, and hopefully if it has a positive impact on their spending patterns, that would be fantastic.
High-end boutiques have proved to be fairly recession-proof as designer brands continue to sell well. This project will probably boost sales, but not for the reasons you'd imagine, says psychologist Tom Stewart.
I wouldn't put it down to the subliminal advertising. I'd put it down to making both staff and customers feel good, and when they feel good, they give better customer service. The customer experience is actually largely about how you interact with the staff.
With a new sales tax hitting trade in the UK, many British retailers are looking at ways to boost business. Psychologists may say subliminal adverts don't work, but Brown's Focus is confident, hoping hypnotherapy will encourage retail therapy. Shoreditch, it's been said, is a little like Facebook. It's constantly changing, altering its terms and conditions, but it's that very vibrancy and unpredictability that keeps people hooked. The UK government is backing this part of London to become the centre of a technology hub to rival Silicon Valley. At the inaugural Digital Shoreditch Summit, the government's Technology Strategy Board announced £1 million in funding to help fuel that effort. Innovation Programmes Director David Bott explains how Tech City Launchpad will work.
The front end is basically putting in a 2-minute video explaining why you think you've got a really cool idea and what you're going to do with it. We're going to down select that to about 20 proposals, get people to put in a small business plan, not a big heavy duty thing, and then that's going to be assessed, and the top 10 of those will get effectively a promissory note, a check, whatever you want to call it, for £100,000 to go out into the community, find the matching funds from the angels, the venture funders, other corporates and so on.
Nearby, in a nondescript building affectionately known as Moo, HQ for the print business it houses, a small team of software engineers works quietly away on an application that's been the subject of a lot of cyber speculation of late. TweetDeck is a tool that allows people to organise their Twitter and Facebook feeds to make them more manageable. Earlier, the technology site TechCrunch reported that TweetDeck had been acquired by Twitter for cash and Twitter stock worth between $40 and $50 million. Quoting a source familiar with the matter, TweetDeck founder and CEO Ian Dodsworth.
Yeah, well, they're rumours, so we're not going to comment on rumours.
Regardless, for a London-based company with only 14 employees, TweetDeck is demonstrating the power of a good idea effectively executed.
It's been an interesting ride. I mean, I put out TweetDeck as a product 2.5 years ago, and it took off from day one. And it was never designed as a product, you know, for everyone. It was literally, it wasn't even really designed. You know, it was just a product that fixed my problems with Twitter. And then from there, it became very apparent that other people are having the same problems.
Dodsworth may have started TweetDeck with minimal ambition, but he says he's open to opportunities that will help it go a lot further.
You get to a very